1. So to start, the backstory is this. And before anyone comes for me, the divorce process is already in motion. I am not clinging to a man who tells me one thing but shows another. I truly believe that once he spoke negatively about me for her attention, that was irreparable damage, and I could never trust him again. If he didn't constantly lie and was just honest with me, I probably would have just been like, cool, do your thing. I'm not a jealous person when I'm not lied to. If I don't feel like some other chick is winning, I can sleep east and not care if he's using her. No joke, I rarely hold grudges. Drugs have turned this once loving and amazing loyal man who was my soulmate into someone I don't know. Someone who will do or say anything if it means he gets what he needs. We had a decade of amazing years, and didn't have our first actual fight until the relapse at over 11 years. We were best of friends and everyone knew it, so coming to terms with the past 2 years has been insanely hard. No need to tell me. I know what I need to be done. My husband and I separated. I moved out to better myself after a relapse, almost a decade sober when it hit, and working us from a distance. His friend and his friend's girlfriend would hang out with him without me, because they did certain drugs I was never cool with. He started sneaking around to get loaded. I met her and was lavished with her gushing about how much she'd heard about me, how beautiful I was, etc. Then he went to jail, and I responsibly was checking voicemails, responding to his customers for work, and I came across her voicemail. I tried to send it to her boyfriend, but he was under her manipulation and basically said I made everything up and fabricated a voicemail, even when I played the log with her literal phone number and voice. Ignorance is bliss. I found texts and emails. He had hooked up with her. She was giving him massive amounts of money and showering him with attention. His self-esteem was terrible, so I'm sure that boosted him in the moment. She basically talked to him like he was God to her. It was incredibly sad. She wouldn't go away. Not after I read the pages of obsessive messages, emails. Not after I proved he was using her for money and drugs. Nothing made her get it, and yes, I absolutely blame him. But Jesus Christ, even him telling her he was done made her desperately cling to him, and she said even if they were just friends, she couldn't lose him. Direct quotes from her long 7-page emails and text walls included, "I'm not asking for the moon and the stars. I know you'll always love her. You can't even give me more than one response to all my messages." And many, many more. I don't feel for her, because she has done this to her boyfriend for years and years. She is a serial cheater. She goes for taken men consistently. She admitted this. She is paid to get my husband's car from impound over $1,000 after 2 months no contact. She was ready to bail him out of jail for over $10,000. But I got to her before she did, and I believe the only reason she didn't is because she didn't want to prove me right after I told her I wanted her to bail him out so he didn't waste the money. One night, after I very clearly told her she better never show up at my home, and that's the one thing I would flip on, she came to the door. She watched him pull in and didn't see me slip in the house. His phone was off all day, and he had like $400 of her money from the day before. She knocked, and he realized it was her, and he said, "I'm with my wife." And she took off like the Roadrunner. I won't go into details, but it was not good. I felt better, though, after I offered to meet fair, legally in the ring, but she wouldn't do it. Fast forward. Her boyfriend had stage 4 cancer last year and died about 6 months ago. She spent the last year of his life obsessing over his friends and being stuck on my ex-husband. He is getting sober again and is very sick. He begged me for a chance to prove things, and I knew in that moment I would help him, but I can't see being with him anymore. So I've taken care of him for 2 horribly bad weeks, literally like a sick infant. He's kicking bad. I hid his keys by request. I hid money also. We are nowhere near a trolley. Well, days ago I woke up to him trying to get the keys, and I said nope, went back to sleep. He laid in my bed next to me, and I woke up again to him messaging her on Snap. All hell broke loose. He finally admitted it, and showed me, and I calmed down and told him to give me space, but I would help him through the rest of the sick days, if he was serious about his life. So he stayed. But as he slept, I schemed. First, I wanted to react and do something stupid, so I went to the gym instead. I asked the universe to let me choose right and not do anything that would land me in trouble, and it hit me that I'm not a crazy psycho type. I'm the long-game petty type with stories I can one day tell my grandkids. I made posters with her on them, her info. Effects on meth. Posters followed by "Don't meth up your life" sayings. Posters asking for someone to take this $100 purebred dog for a rehousing fee. Posters asking if anyone has seen her to please pray for her salvation. I'm not religious. If you see me, please ask if I'm okay. Please donate used clothes to the HOA under my name posters. Posters talking about how good her life was and how empty and sad she is now. Don't do drugs or you'll end up alone like me posters. I signed her up for the usual online stuff with a small donation. I signed her up for multiple RV sales centers, they are so annoying, as well as insurance centers. I also posted a screenshot to her Facebook showing she called my husband the week her boyfriend passed, and his family was mad at her. Boy, did she panic. She finally locked her Facebook. So, you're welcome, girl. And you know what? The instant gratification of doing something dumb is never worth it, but the pettiness, those are stories that I can laugh at for years. They take creative energy and get me out of my emotions and feels. They connect me with friends who are there to ride with me, and I don't have to worry about getting in trouble. And that's my petty revenge story. 2. Okay, so I ordered a faulty working treadmill from Amazon that had a broken 3-prong plug. When I contacted Amazon, they told me I was past the return window and that I had to contact the manufacturer. Mind you, I was only 2 days past the return window, and I kindly asked to speak to a supervisor to see if a one-time exception could be made, as I am a Prime customer, and doesn't Amazon pride itself on customer service? So after Amazon refused to return the item, I contacted the manufacturer. They also gave me the runaround, and did not want to replace it either. But the treadmill was broken. I couldn't run around. So I contacted Amazon again, and I explained the situation to them, and now magically I am offered a one-time exception, and they appreciate my business so much, and they are so thankful for me being a Prime customer. Now, Amazon told me to take it to any UPS store, and they would package and return it for me for free. This was also confirmed via telephone with UPS. Now, for those wondering, I opened this package in February, soon after I opened it, and as I just moved, I threw away all the boxes and everything after cleaning up. I get to the UPS store, and I lug this 50-pound contraption to the front desk and hand them my return label. The lady immediately looks at me and tells me I need a box. I politely explained to her that I was informed by both Amazon and UPS that the return packaging is free. The woman then tells me at least 5 times that no, it's not, and that I will need a box. I am a college student who has 31 cents to my name. The treadmill was purchased with a gift card from my grandparents. She tells me the box itself is $20. I just spent my last $30 on medication, so I do not have $20, and I was told by multiple people that this was free of charge. She then rudely and loudly tells me I need a box, and that's the policy, embarrassing me in front of multiple customers. Okay, fine. A UPS driver tells me he will borrow some tape from the store and a box cutter, and will help me tape up some boxes to return it. Now he goes back in the store and asks for tape to help me, and the lady at the counter tells him no. Surprise, surprise. I go outside to the dumpster and proceed to tape up multiple boxes with the help of the kind UPS driver, and get some painter's tape from a nearby Little Caesars, and somehow get it into a box. Now they will have to repackage and retape the box. The UPS driver thought it was hilarious. 3. Okay, so this is going to be a bit hard to explain, especially to people who don't write or read fanfiction, but I'll do my best, and please bear with me. This was my first time writing a long chaptered fic, instead of just a one-shot. A one-shot is a fanfic that's only one chapter. And I put a lot of thought, heart, and work into it. I especially put a lot of work into the character development. So in around chapter 4, there was a character, let's call her Green, and she had a chapter mostly focused on her. Fast forward to chapter 17, where Green references the events of chapter 4. Now for this next part, I need to provide context for how Wattpad works. On Wattpad, you're able to make a comment on specific sentences and or paragraphs. So this rude person made a comment on the sentence where Green referenced a moment in chapter 4, and they basically said, "Well, that part was pretty stupid. I don't really care about Green. I only care about Orange. Next time, make Orange get physically hurt. I want wump angst." They basically called Green's mini-arc in chapter 4 stupid. And that kinda hurt, since I was really proud of that chapter, since again, I wanted to put work into the character development. And by the way, I really paraphrased it, but how they spoke made it obvious that they were like an immature 10-year-old. I can't prove it, but I know that I used to be super rude like that when I was young on Wattpad too. Anyway, onto the petty revenge. I debated on replying with a long but polite comment that would basically tell them that they were being rude and to be nicer next time. You know, a nice good old scolding. I thought about just deleting the comment and blocking them. But even if they're rude, views are views. Damn right. So finally, I decided on something to do. I decided to do exactly what they wanted, which was angst with Orange and physical pain in the next chapter, but here's the catch. I made it the most minuscule, most insignificant, most minor and short moment, and then made the rest of the next chapter mostly focused on Green and other minor characters. It was just a small moment where he just tripped a bit, and then immediately switched back the POVs to Green. I'm like a djinn or genie that twists your words when you make a wish, because I knew exactly what they wanted. They wanted him to probably get his eye slashed out or his arm broken and then be traumatized and mute or whatever. But I twisted their words in such a satisfying revenge for them being a dickweed. I'm fine if they didn't like a certain point of my fic, but they were acting like a brat and demanding things like a toddler, so that's like, nah. 4. I went to visit my parents last week and saw their neighbor's old car parked there, which reminded me of my one and only interaction I had with him about 21 years ago. The neighbor had, still has, I just saw it last week, a very old car in somewhat decent shape. I'm sure it holds sentimental value for him, but it's not a fancy or rare model, just old, maybe late 70s or early 80s. At the time, my wife and I had just married, and we were saving money by living in an apartment that belongs to my parents, right next to their house. Both my wife and I each had our own cars, and on that Sunday, I needed to take mine to the shop for something simple, an oil change or similar. I don't remember exactly what. We planned to drop my car and then go have breakfast nearby, so I drove my car and my wife followed me in hers. As I was driving down the main avenue, I hit some traffic, so I turned onto a parallel, narrower one-way street. That's when I came across this idiot, going the wrong way and blocking the entire road. In front of him was another car facing the correct direction, unable to pass. The driver of that car honked and yelled, but the jerk refused to move. After a while, the frustrated driver gave up, backed out, cursed at him, and left. I pulled up in front of him and honked too, but of course, he didn't budge. Instead, he started tapping his fingers on the steering wheel, clearly showing that he had no intention of moving. Then I looked in my rearview mirror and saw my wife waiting behind me. That's when I got an idea. I shut down my engine, exited the car, locked it, and yelled to the guy something like, "Good luck," or "F you." I don't remember. I hopped in my wife's car and told her to back up. She was confused at first, but quickly caught on. Put it in reverse, and we drove back to the main street, leaving him stuck there. The look on his face was priceless. We drove one block down, then looped around from the other end, technically also going the wrong way, to see what he was doing. Sure enough, he was struggling to maneuver his car around mine. The only way he could get out was by reversing and making a U-turn. As he was doing this, he spotted us parked nearby, watching and laughing. His jaw dropped. I threw in a snarky remark, got back into my car and drove off, this time in the correct direction. A few weeks later, I was driving in the area and I saw him with the flashers on and the hood up. I drove a pretty common car and slowed down as I got near him. He approached me, and when I was very close, he finally recognized me. I gave him the finger and sped away. Last week, I saw he still has that same piece of junk parked outside his house. I can only hope it's stranded him many more times over the years. 5. Back when I was a junior engineer, I was working with a piping contractor supporting a gas plant project that was in the final stretch before commissioning. We were under intense pressure to hit deadlines and everyone was feeling the heat. One of my responsibilities was reviewing materials before installation, i.e. basically quality control to make sure we weren't about to install something that would bite us later. Then the pipes arrived. These were large-diameter, high-pressure pipes for a critical gas line. But the moment I saw them, I knew something was off. The mill markings didn't match the material certificates, and some of the weld seams looked rough. When we take a closer look, we find surface defects and laminations at the bevel, classic signs of poor quality steel from a dodgy mill. I flagged it immediately. My lead engineer took one look and agreed, those pipes weren't fit for purpose. We raised it with the project manager, expecting him to do the obvious thing, that is, to reject the batch and order replacements from an approved supplier. But this project manager wasn't like most project managers. He wasn't an engineer, he had a Bachelor of Commerce, and had landed the job thanks to his uncle, a senior executive. He had zero technical knowledge and didn't care to learn. To him, just another job to push through quickly to up his bonus. And rejecting the pipes would cause delays, something he was desperate to avoid, since it would probably affect his bonus. His response? The supplier says they meet spec, so they meet spec. Just install them and move on. I pushed back, explaining that if these pipes failed under pressure, we were looking at a major incident. He waved me off. Just get it done. If it's a problem, the pressure test will catch it. Alright, mate. Let's see how that goes. The pipes were installed as is, and we moved on to pressure testing. I stood back and watched. As we ramped up the pressure, the pipe's weld seam split wide open and ruptured the pipe. The force of the failure sent a shockwave through the system, and a few of the pipe supports even bent. The pressure test failed, spectacularly. Now, instead of a minor delay to replace the pipes before installation, we had a catastrophic failure that shut down work for weeks. The entire line had to be cut out, re-welded, and retested. The supplier was blacklisted, and an internal investigation was launched into how the pipes had been approved in the first place. We were also made by the client to bear the cost of rework. As expected, the project manager tried to shift the blame, but my lead engineer simply pulled up the email chain where we had clearly raised the defect concerns. Management didn't take long to connect the dots. The project manager was taken off the project immediately, and was sacked a month later, following initial investigation results, and even his uncle couldn't save him. Never saw him again after that, and last I heard, he decided to pursue a career outside of the industry. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Revenge is Ice Cream, episode 405. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, please do hit the like button and subscribe if you'd be so good. Let YouTube know you like the video, so they let other people know that they might like the video. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can do that by joining me on my Patreon page. Even as little as $1 a month, or more if you like, is very helpful. You'll also find a link in there to the Hellfreezer merchandise store on Teespring. And you can leave a tip by clicking on the heart with a $sign underneath the video. Okay, I don't think we have any other bits and bobs today, so let's move on to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, when does it feel like the year has changed for you? Like, I've just realized that only now, or a few months in, does it actually feel like I'm in 2025. It didn't happen in January 1st, although I knew intellectually, of course, we're in 2025, it's a new year. We'll make sure that anytime I have to put the date in, we put the correct date in. but it just didn't feel like a new year until recently. So why don't you let me know what you think in a comment below. When does the new year feel like it's changed for you? And before we go, let's take a look at the answer of the day from a previous video. Today's answer comes from Revenge's Ice Cream 403. And it was about times recently when you walked into a store and thought, that's a good deal. And today's answer comes from S. Nixon. I bought pizza cheese strings. I love pizza ones, they're so good. But usually at the store I go to, they are nearly $10 for a pack of 12. Jeebus. But I went there a couple of days ago while grocery shopping and noticed they were on sale for $6. That's much more like it, which isn't a bad price for the store I go to, so I bought them. It's just peelable cheese that tastes like pizza. Thank you very much for your answer, S. Nixon. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.